Hey, Jesse, good. How are you? Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Jesse Good is in the house with us. How are you? Hoping everyone can hear me. A little early tonight. What's up, Janie? How are you, dear? Charles Widmore, what's going on? Hey, Troy, how are you tonight? Alligator. No, because I didn't send you a response, did I, Alligator? So I don't think I got it. Could you please send it again? I would have remembered it, and I would have been like, yep. What's up, The Battle? How are you? Kathy Hayes. Nick Hendricks, how are you, buddy? Tony Lynch from the Republic of Ireland. Wow, that's awesome. Welcome to the show, Tony, and thank you for joining us. No, I believe that you sent it, Alligator. I just don't believe that I got it. Because if I did, I would have said, hey, thank you, I got this. It would have been brief, quick, and then I would have touched back with you. Hey, Pops, how are you, dear? Wesley September, how are you, my friend? There, Wolf, what's up, Jeff Foltz? Sandra, how are you? Jess B. Coffee Chris, how are you? Oh, shit, my feet are fucking cold. You ever, like, sit and then you put your foot under your leg and it touches your fucking... 8 inches of snow? Oh, Jesus. Delirium, how are you? We got rain, and I'm so happy that we got rain. What's up, Dis? How are you feeling? MJ Bates, how are you, dear? Mega. Hey, Tori, how are you tonight? Thank you, Alligator. Let me check and make sure it got here. Yes, I got it. I got it. SDL, how are you? Sonia, how are you tonight, dear? It's cold. It's like 33 out. But I'm doing well. Thank you, Dis. But it's not snowing, so yeah, it's not snowing. But it's cool outside, and I'm not fucking liking that. JP, Clint, how are you, buddy? You know, we go from like 60 to 30. That's not cool. That's like giving me weather blue balls. You know what I mean? That's a better way of putting it. It was 70 in Connecticut, Janie. Jesus. Go Bills. Oh, no. What's up, Israel? How are you, buddy? JT Lake, how are you? That's probably not the best way of putting, like, weather. It gives you the weather blue balls. I should have been a weatherman. Christy Strom, how are you? What's up, Robert Sharp? I would kill for, like, some warmth. I just want to, like, Jada, I just want to go and rake my lawn and get the garbage out of my lawn from the dirtbag people that walk by it. I fucking hate disrespectful people, you know? Like, I have to put signs in my yard that says, keep your dog from shitting in my yard. Because there's nothing, like, I understand your dog's going to poop, but pick it up. Because there's nothing worse than, like, mowing your lawn and stepping in a big pile of shit. Like, I love mowing my lawn, but I do not like stepping in shit. Fuck that. What's up, Frank Morris, Marty G, San Francisco Bay Wastewater Ops? Steve-O. Thank you, San Fran. San Francisco. Bolt gun. I live kind of technically in the country, but there are like dirt bags that live around me. So, I mean, upstate New York is technically the country, but I don't know. However you want to put it. The gruesome twosome. That is interesting. I did, Clint. You want to see them? Christy, the memberships are monthly, I guess. I'm not really sure how that goes. It's something YouTube did, and I just have it on there. Listening channel every day, JT. 5 years now. Still looking. Thank you, JT. I appreciate that. Hey, Kimberly, how are you tonight? Tyler 420. Justin Russell, how are you, buddy? Mountain Dew forever. That is fantastic. Northeast Pennsylvania. So I've got 3 awesome lot lizard stories for us tonight. And I have got a shit ton of experiences for tonight too. And yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight. I have an amazing story for Aramek tonight in his vast wealth of knowledge of the Mothman. This is one. I have some black-eyed kid stories. I have just everything going on. But the Mothman, or the Mothman, the lot lizard stories are freaking great. The bots in my channel are lot lizards. Holy shit. What a bunch of whores they are, huh? Shackle Neck, what's up, buddy? Shackle Neck, I want to apologize to you. I saw that you texted me, and I went to respond to you. Actually, I was going to do it today, and I got caught up with Belle, and I'm wicked sorry. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that text. And Belle is driving now. So now that Belle has her permit, Belle wants to drive all the time. And she's like, I'm like, I got to go to the store really quick, bud, and get pickles or something. She's like, can I drive? Let me drive. And I'm like, I guess so. And then like, we'll just be like randomly, want to go for a drive? You want to spend time with me and drive? I want to spend time with you, Dad. Let's go for a drive. She like manipulates me too. And I'm just like, oh God, how am I going to say I don't want to spend time with her, but I don't want you driving my fucking car? And I'm like, and then she goes, I told you you weren't going to have to freaking put me in one of those classes. You're not yelling. And I'm like, I have claw marks in the side of my door. I'm like, stop riding the white line. Turn. Holy shit. Oh my God. Fucking ridiculous. Number 5. Nice t-shirt. I love Faith No More. I like Mike Patton, actually. Mike Patton is my favorite singer, favorite musician. I have every single vinyl that he has done on every single band that he has worked with. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Do a lot of cryptids live in caves? Well, it's like asking if people live in houses. You know, I mean, it's a easy access, you know? Like if I were a cryptid and came across an open field or a cave in the woods, I'm going to live in a cave. So maybe, I guess. Can a person love? No. My God, the battle. No, you cannot. Red Hot Chili Peppers and Faith No More are not even in the same category of like greatness of music. Like Deftones, Chino, and Patton are pretty close. Patton's still way better, but Chino smokes Anthony Kiedis is singing. And Chili Peppers are just, I don't know. That's my own personal belief. I just never been a big fan of the give it away, give it away, give it away now. So, and I don't live under a fucking bridge. But Danny Sanders, how are you? Oh my goodness. I'm just going to pretend I didn't see that comment that battle. Oh my goodness. Susan from New Jersey. How are you, dear? What's up with Robert's wife? Blew a little creep off the balcony. Didn't she do that a long time ago, Robert? Tomahawk is fucking great, man. Holy shit. Oh, Thomas Wickle. I think Stephen Carpenter is better. I honestly think Stephen Carpenter is way better. That's a Jersey accent. I'm Susan from New Jersey. Ask Susan. Charles Whitmore. I don't know. I have a terrible like hatred for the Chili Peppers. I don't know why. That's just my own. Roddy Bottoms, yes. What's his he's got a Roddy Bottoms has a band with his boyfriend. I forget the name of the band. But it's like I think it's like Two Hairy Bears or something like that. It's fucked up. The battle, I am 48 years old, okay? And I have been a fan of Mike Patton since I was 13 years old. And I sent a SAS, a self-addressed stamped envelope with a $5 bill to Mr. Bungle Fan Club. And I got my cassette. I actually still have the cassette downstairs in my music collection. And yeah, so I am a diehard fan of Patton. And yeah, I guess I'm biased. Charles Whitmore, it is the greatest fucking New Jersey accent ever. What are you talking about? Greatest Jersey. It sounds like just every New Jersey housewife ever. I'm Susan from Jersey. Nasally, Italian, beautiful. Park the car. That's a main one. Jessica, welcome to the club. All right, let's start this night off. Eli, thank you so much, brother. I just had like a terrible fucking like visual because of Robert Sharp. Now all I'm picturing is saggy old man boobies. Robert Sharp, put your goddamn shirt back on, please. I'm just teasing. Eli, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you. Dustin, how are you, buddy? Erica Danforth, how are you, dearie? Kissy. Georgiana, how are you tonight? I've actually eaten steak so far, Tim. I've had steak. I've eaten apples. Um, Girl Scout cookies with toffee. Fuck, I've eaten everything that I am supposed to be eating. Patrice, how are you? Bella's going to be one badass driver. I tell you what, she's going to be good. She's going to be good. All right, let's start the night off. Hey, folks, it took me some time, but I think I'm finally ready to share my encounter. It happened in Western Germany, and what I'm about to share is the genuine truth. It all started with a horrible animal screaming sound outside of my house at night, which I already compared to all wildlife animal sounds records from zoology institutes, but nothing comes close to it. It kind of sounded like a woman screaming in agony, but then again, even worse. It felt like I could feel the sound vibrations in my veins. It's hard to describe. It was really scary. I live in a tiny house next to a forest and mountains. It was a dark October night, and I lied in my bed, which I was in my sleeping corner, right in front of the window, which is always half opened, and above me is just a flat roof, garden all around the house. At first, I heard one animal slash creature scream, and then there were two of them. They sounded very close and would not stop screaming for minutes. The next thing I heard was something heavy running through the garden under my bedroom window, followed by heavy branches breaking at the height of my level 2 floor. I also heard a loud rush of air slash wind combined with that. In the next second, this animal slash creature jumped onto my roof. So in that moment, it was right above me. And that was the moment when things started to get messy and very confusing for me until this day. First, I want to point out that this animal slash creature sounded so heavy when it landed. I don't know any animal species that big around here. It sounded massive and therefore surreal. Also, the quickness of its movements seemed unreal. After that jump, it started to run on my roof from one side to the other. It first sounded like it was something extremely heavy on two legs, but it suddenly changed. It sounded like it was extremely heavy on four paws. I remember sitting straight up in bed under it with an intense pulse that in my mind I'm trying to process what I'm hearing. What kind of creature is this? That was also the turning point when I seriously felt threatened. Since I am a girl living alone in a tiny house and didn't really have any protection to fight something massive like this off, just knives or pepper spray, which quite sure would have been useless. So I decided to do something stupid. I thought maybe I could shock it, scare it away. So I hit against the bedroom window with my flat hand so hard and loud as I could. What happened next messes with me until this day. Not even a second passes by after one hit the glass when this creature hit right back from the outside. So it must have been sitting right above me in that moment and reached down to my window. And it reacted so quickly, it was surreal. The sound of what touched my window glass sounded like a mix of a big claw and feathers. This reaction and the way it sounded put me in a kind of shock, I guess. I realized I'm quite screwed at this moment because whatever it was very intelligent, huge, and would not back off. That's how it felt to me. As if it was saying, "You have no power here. I am always one step further. You know your lane." Basically, I froze on my bed, my back to the wall, and all I could do was stare at where the hit came from the window. I was too scared to close it. I was too scared to breathe even. Then it suddenly left my roof, which sounded again like a massive weight jumping off into the air. I've never shared this experience before because I am pretty alone with it. Until last night when I read somewhere online that people in Germany experience similar things, and I felt lucky. Anyway, that is my experience. Thank you for allowing me to share. All right. So I wanted to touch on something. How do you hear feathers? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if you think about like what a feather would like have that weird sound to it, but wouldn't long fur or a pad on a paw have that as well? You know what I mean? Um, so I'm just it sounded like, but it didn't. She didn't say it flew either. She said it jumped. So I'm kind of tossed up in the air of what this could be. I did look a little bit into some German folklore and such, but Andy Davis, what's up, buddy? 59th, what's up, Bal? How are you? J Channel, how are you? That's what I was thinking is fur. Yes, I've covered the Jersey Devil. Actually, I've had this guy on here. His name's Paul Evans Pedersen Jr. He's a good friend of mine. He has researched the New Jersey Pine Barrens for years. If you want to get a good book on anything haunted in the Pine Barrens or any kind of anything, this would be the book, Legendary Pine Barrens, Paul Evan Pedersen. He's got pictures of the cemetery and where the burial of the family is. I don't know why my brain is not working, and I completely forgot what the name of the family is as of right now. But great book. Get it if you can find it. If you need help finding it and you want it, email me and I can send it to you. Aramak! What's up, buddy? B Sleeve. I think that's how you say your name. B Sleeve. Wiley, what's going on? How are you? Maura, how are you? Nothing better than some Mexican Coke. Nothing better. Actually, I did pull out a couple of books. Oh, so two things I want to touch forth on. Thank you so much, Erica. Appreciate that. Thank you, Nicole. I think I said hi to Wiley, but I don't know. Tina Marie, how are you? So the other live stream, we had Mr. Haunted on. He popped in and said hi to everybody. He's the guy who is portrayed on the Conjuring movies with the Warrens as Chinese Jimmy is his name. And I was talking about his books, and I wanted to bring them up for you to show you. Mr. Haunted Origins, Jimmy Petinito. This book has all of his research that he did with the Warrens in it. An amazing guy. Great experiences and stories in here. Danny Sanders, thank you so much. And then this one is Phantoms and Messages, Jimmy Petinito and William Hall. This is about like calls, someone died and shit, and emails, letters, and stuff from the dead. Sadie, how are you? Or Sadie, how are you? Danny, I did get your email and I did not respond. I printed it out. I apologize for not responding. Alan Howell, how are you, buddy? Truth in Christ, how are you tonight? Yvette, how are you? Anyway, if you want to get a good read on anything dealing with the Warrens, and not from like a outside perspective. Jim worked with them since when he was a kid. You know, he was a fucking teenager. He was taking photos of cemeteries and had a collection of them, and went to a seminar that the Warrens were giving and shared his photos with them. And they were like, wow, can we keep these and look at them? And he was like, no, these are mine. And, you know, he gave them, let them have them, and worked with them for a long period of time. He also was friends with Father Malachi Martin. And if you don't know that story, that is a crazy story. I honestly, if you do not know Father Malachi Martin, go and look into him. Fucking crazy shit. Aramek! How are you, brother? All right. What's up, Nick? How are you tonight? So, new to your channel. Aunt Z, how are you? Thank you. I appreciate that. And welcome to the channel. DC, what's going on? Aramek, this one is for you and everyone else who loves the Mothman. What's up, 175 Hydro? This is some deep, crazy shit, and I like this one because it's got a lot of very interesting connections too. I got a little cold, like a little. Yeah, you're right of that. It's the change in the weather, you know. I guess I'm not sure. I don't think I drank enough water today, which means I didn't drink enough Coke today. So I'm probably dehydrated because I don't drink water. I just drink Coke. Pine Dot, where are you going? Vertebraker, what's going on? How are you? Yeah, it's growing back. It's growing back nicely. 82. Man, I'm not that far from Jersey, and it's fucking 33 here and cold. I went outside, my nuts went like that. All right. On the morning of January 4th, 1979, a cold, dark morning with snow on the ground, I had a strange experience. I had the strangest experience in my whole life. I live in a small council house in Bluestone Walk, Raleigh Regis, near Birmingham. The house is one of a number in the small estate surrounded by wasteland and quarries. We are near Hailstone Quarry, and our road is named after the Bluestone Quarry. We, my husband Cyril and myself, have lived here for 9 years. We have we have a dog named Hobo, who is 2.5 years old. I work at a factory making soundproofing for cars, and my husband is employed by the cement works. The house has a small front garden and a small lawn at the back, about 17 feet by 11. There is a carport at the end of the lawn and a shed. A door opens to the road at the back of the house. At 7 o'clock on January 4th, my husband was going to work by car. I stood at the back door to wave him off. Hobo, our dog, was by my side. When my husband had gone, I saw a light in the garden and thought Cyril had left the light on in the carport. I went down to the garden to the carport, but saw that the light was switched off. As we turned to go back to the house, I saw an orange light over the garden, which gradually turned white. It lit the whole garden. When we went back to the door of the house, suddenly, with a sound like Z, 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 3 beings floated past me through the open door. They glowed with a brilliant light and seemed to float about 30 centimeters above the floor. As they floated past me into the lounge, I saw that they had wonderful wings. I was so terrified that I grabbed the steel sink in the kitchen. I couldn't speak. I was frozen. I looked at Hobo. He seemed to hobble to his drinking bowl, swaying from side to side. His hair was sticking out all over like a hedgehog. Yet Hobo is afraid of nothing. He seemed as though he was drugged. He just flopped down and lay on the floor stiff with his eyes wide open. I felt as though all my blood in my body had been drained through my toes. I was paralyzed, my mouth wide open, couldn't move or speak. After a while, the fear seemed to leave. I felt as if I was lifted up. I wondered what was happening to me. I felt as if I was a different person, as though I was in heaven, although I was still in my home. I seemed to float into the lounge. I held the door, but my feet did not touch the ground. The doors were wide open, and it was bitterly cold morning, but I felt warm. All the downstairs lights were on. It was dark outside. I could hear a little artificial Christmas tree shaking, but the light was so bright and brilliant that I had to cover my eyes. These three creatures seemed to read my mind. It was like the light or an X-ray penetrating my mind. When I took my hands from my eyes, I could see. They seemed to have turned down the light that surrounded them. There was a glow around their heads. I could see them clearly. They were shaking and tugging at the little Christmas tree. There they were, three little slim men with silvery green tunics and silver waistcoats with silver buttons or press studs. They were about 3 feet 6 inches to 4 feet high, all alike. Their pointed hands and feet were covered in a same silvery green, and all they had pointed caps on their heads, all of the same color, with something like a lamp on the top. They had a transparent they had transparent fishbowl helmets over their heads, which rested on their shoulders. There were no eyebrows or ears to be seen. Their faces were waxy, white, corpse-like, and they had black diamond eyes. I don't know how much precious stones, I don't know much about precious stones, but that is how I would describe them. I did not notice their noses. Their mouths were very thin. Their wings were wonderful, large, ovular shaped, and glowing with rainbow colors, red, violet, gold, blue, green, but more beautiful than any earthly colors. Their wings were covered in dots, like braille dots. I thought of Joseph's coat of many colors. Our colors seemed like chemical colors compared to them. They were floating around the lounge, touching everything, the Christmas cards, the clock, the radio, the furniture. At last I could speak. I said, "Three of you and one of me, what are you going to do? What do you want with me?" Each of them put their hands on their chest with their pointed hands and seemed to manipulate the buttons. A beep sound came from each being's chest, and then a voice came from their chest. Their mouths never moved. They all spoke together. "We shall not harm you." "Where have you come from?" I asked. And they said, "We come from the sky." They started to shake the little Christmas tree again, and the fairy fell from the top. I still seemed paralyzed. I still couldn't move to pick it up. I said, "We put up the tree at Christmas because we believe in Jesus and we believe he was born then." They said, "We know all about Jesus." They were looking at the Sunday papers on the table. There was an honors list on the front page. I said, "These people have been made lords." They said, "There is only one Lord." They looked at the picture of the Queen, and I said, "You should go to the Queen or go see the real lady." I wonder why they came to me, as I am just a working woman. They said, "You are a lady. We have a large lounge in the corner unit couch." They sat on the couch and bounced like children. I said, "Be careful of my furniture." And they stopped. When I spoke sharply, they put the light up, so I thought I had better be friendly with them. They were only small, but they seemed to have power in their bodies that may harm me. My eyes still felt sore from the bright light, but I felt happy with them. They looked at me with friendly eyes. I said, "I can't call you creature, so I shall call you gentleman." I started to say, "Nice to see you, nice." They replied, "Nice." Sorry, guys, I keep coughing. When they floated about the room, their wings fluttered gently. There was no sound. When they moved through the open door to the hall, they folded their wings behind their backs like pleated fans. They circled in the hall, then floated upstairs. The doors to the upstairs rooms were closed, and they floated down again. They picked up the tapes for the tape recorder and looked at the packs of cigarettes on the sideboard. There were bottles of whiskey and sherry on the sideboard, as it was not long after Christmas. I asked, "Do you want a drink?" They said, "Water?" 3 times. I went to the kitchen and fetched 4 glasses of water. I put them on a metal tray. I thought I would bring one for myself as well to show that they were not poisoned, and to drink with them to keep them company. As I came near them with the metal tray, I could hardly hold it. The tray seemed to be magnetized towards them. I put the tray down on the table, and each of them picked up the glass when I lifted mine. They seemed they seemed about to lift their masks, but when they saw me watching them put the power light on, I didn't actually see them drink, but when they put the glasses back on the tray, the water was gone. They said, "We have been to Australia, New Zealand, and America. We come down here to try and talk with people, but they don't seem to be interested. Shall I tell people on Earth about it?" I asked. And they replied, "Yes." They said, "We have been here before, and we shall come again." Another thing they said was, "Everybody will go to heaven. There are beautiful colors there." They seemed to put a light on me and draw out the words they wanted to hear. I was stuttering with nervousness. I was talking about politics and women going to work and said, "It's a man's world." They seemed interested and excited, as though they were listening and understanding. I told them I had not been to the chapel for a year or two, as chapels had pop groups and guitarists these days, and I didn't like that kind of services. There is no need to worship in synagogues, they said. I didn't know until my husband told me later that that was the name of a Jewish place of worship. I said, "The Bible is hard to understand," and they seemed to know what I meant. I told them that I had looked after foster children for 7 years, and at one time I looked after 13 stray dogs. The neighbors' children used to come with me and take them for walks. Then I went to fetch a plate of mince pie for them. I put 6 on the plate and told them to help themselves. They each lifted the mince pie from the plate as though their hands were magnetic, and I saw that they were looking at the cigarettes again. "I'll show you how people smoke these," I said. I struck a match and lit the cigarette. They leapt back as though they were frightened and began to float toward the back door. I stubbed out the cigarette and called out, "Come back, come back." I still seemed to be floating as I followed them, and as they went through the back door, I saw an orange-colored glowing thing in the back garden, a spaceship. It must have been 8 to 10 feet long and 4 feet in height. It had round windows or portals. It seemed to be covered in a kind of shiny plastic. I couldn't see through the portals. There was something like a scorpion tail at the back and kind of a wheel on top. They still held the mince pie as they went toward the spaceship and entered it. They flashed the lights twice as if to say goodbye, then took off over the fence and away across the ground towards Old Barry. The sky was still dark, no stars, and there was snow on the ground. Hobo came to life then and wandered around the garden as though he was looking for them. There was a deep impression on the back garden where the ship had been settled. I felt warm and happy, although it was such a cold morning. I felt good, as though I had been blessed. When I went back inside and looked around, I realized that the clock and radio had stopped. I spoke to my next door neighbor, and she said, "You should ring the police." I rang the Oldbury police, and they said they would come. I rang my husband, but he could not leave his job. I said to him, I have had visitors with wings. He said, "What do you mean, birds?" I was shaking and crying. I said, "No, men with wings." He laughed and said, "Why don't you go and have your hair done and tell the girls about it?" I did later on, and they were very kind. The police came from West Bromwich police station. They looked around and said, "You look pale, as though you have been in shock." They couldn't do much. They couldn't take fingerprints. They went away and came back later. They rang a UFO investigation service in Birmingham. The people came and measured the impressions on the ground in the back garden. It was 8 feet by 4 feet. They also took soil samples for analysis. I have not heard the results. I've had a lot of nice letters from people who were interested after reading the reports in the papers. Some people sent tapes to be returned to them with my own story. The West Bromwich College of Technology television production course students have made a film of me telling my story. It was filmed at the Technical College in March 19th, 1979. My eyes were sore for about a week and I had to wear dark glasses. I've had to have some weeks away from work as I hadn't felt well and the doctor advised me to rest. My jaws ached after staring with my mouth open in shock when I first saw these beings. I've never read books about UFOs, only read the papers. I don't look at the television a lot, but like the Crossroad programs and Coronation Street and Love Stories, some people have made jokes about me, but people who know me believe me, as they know I am truthful. In a taped interview I heard, she told of receiving envelopes containing Mars bar wrappers. Some people have written to say that they sorry guys, I'm trying to they think the visitors were elves or beings from a fairy kingdom or even robots. But I don't know what to think. I know I shall never forget them if I live to be 100. A few days later, we tried the tapes that were handled by the beings. They were so disordered and they were ruined. Before January the 4th, they were quite normal. I've attempted to locate the filmed interview with Miss Higley, but this is her story. Her name's Miss Higley. I have attempted to locate the filmed interview with Miss Higley, but have so far been unsuccessful in locating. So this was actually a experience that was shared in a lot of the English journals and newspapers. MUFON was the responsible agency for taking that. Boondock Mojo did not get them. I sent you a few operation from my late grandmother. Oh, okay. You're gonna send them. Okay. I didn't get anything yet from you if you sent anything. So I don't know what the fuck is up with my throat. Quinn, I am doing well. Thank you for asking. 5 rings. How are you, buddy? Julie, how are you? Brent, Oliver, how are you? 5 rings. We are kicking ass, right? Dodgers are whipping ass. I think they won. Did they win? Last I knew, it was 2-2 at the bottom of the second. I don't know. Hang on. Let me check. Yeah, 3-7. Haha, fuckers. All right. So we have been waiting for the Castilla County, the attack that happened back in February of the woman who was attacked, and all my papers for it are downstairs. But supposedly the autopsy came, and I'm going to do an upload about it tomorrow or Monday. I'm going to do an update on this. But after 6 weeks of waiting for an autopsy, more than 6 weeks, it was actually 9 weeks. This is what the autopsy has to tell us about this lady who was savagely torn apart in Castilla County, Colorado. A woman who was found dead in Castilla County was believed to have been killed in an attack from a domestic dog, the sheriff's office said Friday. The woman, identified as 68-year-old Cindy Denholm, was found dead in the Sangre de Cristo Ranch community in January. It was the last week of January. An autopsy report obtained by Fox 31 later this week said there were numerous bites and scratch marks all over her body, including lacerations and puncture wounds to the face, torso, and legs, as well as extensive depredations of both arms and evaluations of the right hand. The examiner's opinion is she died as a result of multiple injuries from an animal attack, which are consistent with those inflicted by a canine. The autopsy did not determine if the animal was dog or wild animal. After an investigation involving Colorado Parks and Wildlife and the Bureau of Investigations, the Casilla County Sheriff's announced the investigators believe she was attacked by a domestic dog. So you've got one agency saying we don't know, but then once again, the sheriff is saying, hey, it was a domestic dog. I'm going to dig into it a little bit more, and on Monday, we will know for sure. I believe it was a Dogman 100%. That's what it is, Quinn. I'm not doing right. Not doing right. SDL, they don't normally eat. When a Dogman, on the very limited Dogman attacks lead to deaths. I throughout the years, the amount of sightings compared to the amount of deaths is limited, like very small. It does happen. There is very little consumption for some reason. Very little. With Tony Aaron's was partially consumed. Yet Amber Miller wasn't. And that was in the same location 2 months apart. Brenda Hamilton was partially consumed. I don't know about this. I got to dig more into it. I just got that notice right before the live stream. Aramaic! Thank you. So I'm going to look into it. But usually, for some reason, they seldom do consume, like you'd think they would like just fucking grind us right down and grub us down like fucking blah, blah, blah. But no, for some reason. Thank you, Aramaic. I truly appreciate the love. How about a black-eyed kid story? Black-eyed kids? Yes, Quinn. December 19th, 2015. Cedar Park, Texas. This one was actually kind of creepy because this one was actually kind of creepy because on the Saturday before Christmas, I had grandbaby duty because everyone else was off shopping and doing things. So I had taken my granddaughter in Texas. They have a bunch of these bounce houses, these inflatable things that are basically put up in strip malls. Well, I had taken her to one of those and checked in and was just kind of sitting on the bench watching her. And I noticed this kid looked like about 6 years old, dressed in black jeans and like a hoodie, like gray kind of hoodie, but not necessarily a clean one. And I'm thinking, this kid looks out of place compared to all these other kids. All the other kids are running around, not really noticing him. So I'm just kind of watching him. And he just happens to glance back at me. And I'm like, holy crap, that kid doesn't have any eyes. It was just black right where his eyes were. So I stand up and I walk toward him. And I think he must have noticed me because he kind of just walked towards or past the inflatables. And there is a row of 6 inflatables. And when I say inflatables, it's the big blow up slides or bounce houses, all the things that these kids ride on. So I follow him and I'm walking behind him. And last little, I don't know, space that they have are these stairs that you can walk up. And there is a pit of foam blocks that you can jump into or do somersaults or some shit. And there's a front staircase and it has a little turn to go up in. I'm watching him, and he turns around and looks at me. Sure enough, 6-year-old kid, black jeans, white gray hoodie, black eyes, or he didn't have any eyes. He waved at me and he turned to walk up the stairs. And I kind of fast walked to see if I could get him. And he's not on the stairs. He's not anywhere. He just disappeared. And like I said, I followed him from the front because that's where the benches are for the old people. And I notice him and I follow him all the way to the back. I mean, I was 15 feet behind him the entire time. He got to the back, made a loop, turned around, looked at me, basically like he acknowledged me, waved like a little prince kind of wave, and took off gone. Nobody, not at all. It was crazy. It was kind of weird though, because the entire time it was like he was there, but not quite in focus. Does that make sense? It was like he was standing there, but if another kid was standing beside him, he would just be a little bit blurry compared to the other kid. Randall Kennedy, thank you. Shit, I'm so sorry. With well-defined angles and things like that. He was just kind of there. And the weirdest thing about it was that the kids would just walk around him, but not like acknowledge that he was there. They were just running around, going back and forth, just running around doing craziness with parents and everybody else watching. I don't know. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just grabbed my granddaughter and said, it's time to get ice cream. Let's go. All right. Well, you're a grandma. You say like way too many times. And why are you fouling a fucking 6-year-old, you freak? Thank you, Randall. Appreciate you, buddy. I literally had to, I had, when I was reading that, I had to stop saying the likes because it was like this, like that, like. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, come on. Like, and then you're following a 6-year-old. That's kind of weird. Yes, he's got fucking black eyes, but why are you following him? What's up, Ginger? Like, Valley Girl. She's definitely like a creeper, Jane. I wish Susan from Jersey could say, "Oh my God," like. What's up, Luke? Flatardo. What's up? That is a lovely name. Flatardo von Braun. Fuck yeah. I apologize for the cough tonight, guys. I really do. Have you noticed the frequency of Dogman encounters, especially in PA, have gone up? Quinn, to be honest with you, all the time people ask that. And I'll tell you why it seems like that. All right. So if you listen to the dates of them when they're being shared and stuff, yes, they are. It seems like more and more experiences are coming out, but not necessarily right now. I think what it is people are sharing more because they're feeling more comfortable. Erica Danforth, thank you so much. And I believe like the 8 years that I've had this channel, the community has changed for the better, 100% for the better. People are more respectful, more accepting, and more willing to realize that, hey, my theory or my belief on these things might not be the only one. And I think with the community changing for the better, we're going to hear more experiences coming out. I don't necessarily think there's an influx in experiences, mass influx, like when COVID was rampant. That was for some reason there was a shit ton then. But I think more or less it's the people now being comfortable to share. If that makes sense. Kenny Wolfros, how are you? Sean 11B, what's going on? Sorry I missed you, buddy. Darren K, how are you? Paul Williams, thank you, Ermic. Christopher, what's going on, buddy? J Channel? Like, come on. What time is it? Oh, it's almost been an hour? Holy shit. You know what happens in like 4 minutes after this experience? What's after this experience? You know what time it is. After this one, though. On the last day of my camp retreat in Wisconsin, me and my friend were walking up our cabin to get our sweatshirts because it was getting chilly. My cabin is in the middle of 2 other cabins next to the woods. It is a public campsite and people come and go as they please. The woods we were next to goes on for miles and miles, and there is no known people living there as far as anyone knows. So me and my friends proceed to the cabin while the rest of the campers and staff are walking back from night games. When we reach the top of the hill, we take our flashlights out to see where our cabin is. When I reach the handle of our door, my friend says, "Hey, that looks like a guy," while pointing to the woods. I turn to see that there indeed was something that looked like a person. We chuckled, thinking it was part of a tree, but we start to notice that it is a humanoid figure watching us. Its height was abnormal, maybe 7 feet in height. It had long human-like arms, its body was grayish, and its neck was white. We look at each other, shocked, and we start to back up slowly while we are shining the flashlight at the creature. The creature slowly raised its arms and moved towards us, and that's when we booked it down the hill. Later on that night, the staff patrolled to make sure nothing else happened around the campus. They come back to our cabin when I am calming down my friend, and tell us that they saw some movement near our cabins, but they couldn't tell what it was. That night still haunts me to this day. Before the retreat, my brother noticed something peeking through the main cabin window, but before he could get a good look at it, it backed into the darkness. He only got to see its eyes, and they were far from human. My brother's close friend even heard something trying to mimic the bullfrogs while he was in the porta potty. And when it showed up, all the birds and frogs went silent. The first day of our retreat, my brother and I also heard a loud dog-like growl. There was no one on this earth who could make that sound as real as what we heard. No dogs were around. I indeed am a Christian, so it could be a demon, but I am still wondering what this thing was. Shit. I apologize, guys, for the cough tonight. I really do. All right. So I have all right, that's Earl's. That's Earl's. Wait a second. Okay. That's that one. All right. Here we go. So I've got one with Lizzo, one with Earl, and then this one. What's up, No Cap? These are the only time you will hear something fictional on my channel. I write these, they are fun, and we love them. And we have 345 people and only 159 likes. Come on, guys, give me some more likes. What's up, No Cap? How are you, buddy? Long time no see. The flickering neon sign of the Big Gulp truck stop buzzed like an angry wasp, casting a sickly green glow on the rain-slicked asphalt. Inside, the air hung thick with the aroma of stale coffee, questionable chili, and desperation. This was Kim Kardashian's haunting ground. Kim wasn't your typical lot lizard. Not by a long shot. Sure, she rocked the perpetually stained pleather skirt and the gravity-defying hair, but underneath the layers of discount makeup and questionable fashion choices lurked a secret far more terrifying than the questionable STD. Kim was a vampire. But not the romantic, brooding kind you see in the movies. No, Kim was a bottom-feeding, bargain bin vampire, subsisting on the residual life force of weary truckers. She wasn't after blood, per se. Thank you, Randall Kennedy. She was after their joie de vivre, their optimism, their will to haul frozen broccoli across state lines for minimum wage. She sucked it right out of them, leaving them hollow shells ready to trade their rigs for a lifetime of daytime TV and institutional oatmeal. Her latest target, Big Joe, a grizzled veteran with a walrus mustache and a Born to Honk tattoo. He was nursing some lukewarm chicory at the counter, his face a roadmap of highway miles and sleepless nights. Perfect. Kim sashayed over, her heels clicking a rhythmic warning on the linoleum. Hey there, big fella. Long drive, she purred, batting her eyelashes, which were so thickly coated with mascara they resembled tiny black spiders. Joe grunted, barely looking up. Long enough. I bet, Kim drawled, sliding to the stool next to him. Looks like you could use a little pick-me-up. She leaned closer, her floral-scented body spray threatening to asphyxiate him. This was it, the moment of the drain. She focused her energy, visualizing extracting his very essence. But something felt off. Joe reeked of something more potent than diesel fumes and burnt coffee. You smell different, Kim said, wrinkling her nose. What's that iron scent? Joe chuckled. A dry, rattling sound. Iron? Must be the supplement pills. Doctor said I was getting anemic. Anemic? That was a problem. Vampires needed a healthy host. Drawing from an anemic trucker was like trying to siphon gas from a rusty lawnmower. It was just pathetic. So Kim improvised. Heard they got a new massage chair in the back of the room. Only $5 for 15 minutes. Helps with the road rage. Joe just stared blankly. Road rage? Lady, I haul hazardous waste through Chicago on a Tuesday. Road rage is my morning coffee. Kim felt the bead of sweat trickle down her neck. This wasn't going as planned. She needed to get him to spill his soul, open up and reveal the vibrant spark that kept him chugging along. Tell me, she said, leaning in conspiratorially. What keeps you going? What's your passion? Joe scratched his beard. Passion? Well, I do enjoy a good game of bingo, and I'm pretty partial to reruns of Murder, She Wrote. Kim suppressed a groan. Bingo and a geriatric detective show? Her fangs ached. She was starving, and this guy was about as exciting as a lukewarm bowl of tapioca. Desperation gnawed at her. She tried a different tactic. What's the craziest thing that ever happened to you on the road? She asked, hoping for a juicy tale of rogue hitchhikers, meteor showers, or hell, maybe even an alien abduction. Joe pondered for a moment. Well, he said slowly, there was this time I saw a flock of pigeons wearing tiny hats. That was pretty weird. Kim stared at him, speechless. Tiny hats? This was her mark. Her carefully constructed persona of alluring mystery was crumbling faster than a day out donut. Suddenly, the door of the truck stop burst open, and a woman with a clipboard strode in. Her eyes scanned the room. Big Joe, truck number 7. Your load's ready, and get a move on. We're behind schedule. Joe lumbered to his feet. All right. Keep your hair on, Brenda. He turned to Kim, a flicker of something that might have been amusement in his eyes. Nice chatting with you, sweetheart. Maybe I'll see you on the road. He winked and lumbered toward the door, leaving Kim slumped on the stool, defeated. Another night, another failed feeding. Maybe she should consider a different profession. The thought of becoming a tax attorney crossed her mind, but even that seemed less soul crushing than trying to squeeze the life force out of a bingo playing, pigeon hat witnessing trucker. As Joe walked out into the drizzling night, he paused, glanced back at Kim. He chuckled again, a low rumble in his chest. He knew what she was. He'd seen plenty of her kind on the road, but Big Joe had a secret weapon of his own, an unwavering optimism, fueled by decades of bad coffee, worse jokes, and deep-seated love for the open road. Kim Kardashian didn't stand a chance. He adjusted his Born to Honk tattoo and climbed into his rig, and the engine roared to life, ready to deliver that broccoli and face whatever weirdness the road threw his way. He was Big Joe, and he was unflappable. He even had a little spring in his step, a tiny surge of something, well, something like life. Maybe the anemic trucker wasn't anemic after all. Randall Kennedy, thank you so much. Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry, guys. That was the worst one of the night, though. That was the worst one of the night, but still, it was pretty good. And how I spelled her name was Kardashian. So dish again. Kim Kardashian. Ermic, this one's for you, feller. I've been waiting to share my experience ever since I seen this. I had an encounter with a winged bat humanoid creature 14 years ago when I was driving the car east side of Aurora, Illinois. That was gross. I was driving to a friend's house with 2 other friends. They didn't see it because they were on their phones, but I saw it clearly. It was around 7 p.m., dusk. The encounter happened on the corner of Pierce and Wood Street by the bridge. As I was driving on Pierce, turning onto Wood, I saw what I thought was a human eating something on the ground wildly, not far in from the trees. It really caught my eye as I got closer. I stared harder at this person, thinking it was a bum that was living in the woods. But the way it was eating was voracious. And when I saw what it was eating, it scared me. It had a rabbit in its hands, eating the neck with blood pouring out. It was crazy. I drove very slowly. I couldn't take my eyes off it. My headlights were shining straight into this thing's face. It had pointed ears, brown, burnt, rippled skin, sharp pointed teeth, glowing orange or yellow eyes, pointed long fingers with pointed nails, and was as big as a human. With my light shining in its face, it looked up and was blinded. The first reaction was to put its hand in front of its face to block out the light. I continued to stare in shock as it looked through its fingers to stare back at me. Once it acknowledged that I was staring at it, it squared up its shoulders and two wide wings unfolded behind it, brown and thin almost, exactly like a bat. And then, in one swoop of its wings, it flew into the sky, leaving me in disbelief. I stopped and looked up, but was not about to get out of my car. I drove off scared of what I had just encountered, yelling at my friends to ask if they had seen it. It all happened within 15 to 20 seconds, but it felt like slow-mo for me because of all the detail I could see. Very scary. I did not share this with anybody because I did not want to sound crazy. After these 14 years, I finally started seeing other people share and talking about it, and I figured it was my turn. 11 years ago, my husband and I were outside working on our driveway. It was about 9:30 at night, and it was dark outside. I was raking at the end of our driveway. My husband was stacking wood. We both had our headlamps on so that we could see what we were doing. So as I'm finishing up with the raking, I hear something really big running up our hill toward our driveway. I can hear each step as it is taking it. I thought maybe it was a bear because of how the footsteps sounded, like it had weight behind it. Well, my husband heard it as well. He came running toward me, then past me onto the road, chasing whatever it was. Aramark, thank you. So I say to him, "What the hell are you doing?" He said. "I'm chasing it away from the property. I don't want it coming around here again." I said, "Stop, you're crazy. Whatever it is, it's bigger than you." So he continues to chase it up the hill, yelling and screaming, "Get out of here, go on, get." At the top of the hill is a cul-de-sac with a street light. I'm scared as hell, so I am staying back a little bit, but I am curious of what it may be. So I continue up the hill behind my husband. When my husband chased it up to the cul-de-sac, the creature stopped right in the light that was cast from the street light. I could not believe my eyes. It was like I was flipping through the pages of memory banks, trying to compare it to anything else I had ever seen. It looked just like a werewolf to me. It was taller than my husband, who was 6'3". It had an ashen gray fur and tufts of scraggly hair here and there. It looked sickly, like it had mange or something. It had the body of a human, but its head looked just like that of a dog. It had a long snout and pointed ears like a Doberman Pinscher. It had a slight hunch on its back of its neck like a hyena. Its upper arms were slightly shorter than the length of a human's. Its hips were much larger than ours, kind of like a kangaroo, but not as big. But it was obvious from the hips and shorter arms that it could go from walking on two legs to four, like a bear or a dog would. So when it gets into the light of the street light, it stops, turns, and looks at my husband, who is still yelling, "Go on, get." And the creature is pissed. I think that because it didn't like being yelled at and in the light. But when it turned to look at him, it snarled and growled at him for a second or two. And then with two long footsteps, it shot into the woods above our house. My friend and neighbor asked me to come down a couple weeks because another neighbor of ours lives alone at the house just past the woods that creature had disappeared into. And she was at her place and said, "We need to talk." So I went down there. She introduced us. And I come to find out that he had been seeing this creature in his yard, bent down on one knee, drinking out of a water puddle. But it had been my sighting 11 years ago. And he had his first sighting 3 years before that. I've heard of one other sighting up here on 2510 Forest Service Road, just above our house. about 7 years ago, and another sighting in another part of the area, which is just the town north of us. I live in Brennan, Washington, and my husband and I know the woods around here like the back of our hands. I have seen and heard a lot of things in these woods, but nothing compares to what we saw that night. That is terrifying. Why would you chase after a fucking dog man? You know? Like, you're in a cul-de-sac, it turns and look. I don't even know. I wouldn't even yell anymore. I think I would pee. I would just pee on it. I'd be like, tss, tss, pinch the head and let it squirt out. What's up, Rocky Michaels? I'm sorry, Aramic. I'm so sorry, guys, about my cough. I will, Erica. Ugh. There we go. That's better. Tommy! Thank you so much, dear. You're never late. You're never late, Tommy. As long as you're here, you're here. You're never late. Ever, ever. No, it's not a sore throat. It's weird. It's like a frog in my throat, I guess. No, $20 is definitely $20. Is it time? Is it time, guys? $20 is the $20. Oh. Let me think of a good song. All right, this goes out to. Here we go. There's a little bit of Red Hot Chili Peppers. Under the bridge. Sully! Haha! I was thinking about Anthony Kiedis. Take me to the place I love. Like I did that day. Touch my butthole once. You know I like that shit. I give it away, give it away, give it away now. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. To my butthole. That was fucking dumb. Gargling with Coke? What the fuck was I thinking? Sully, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry you had to see the Rolling Stones open, or the Chili Peppers open for the Stones. Oh. Yeah, I saw that. Fuck David Duchovny. You know, he's like, they only chose him because he was on the X-Files. And he's not going to have any secrets. I guarantee, John Sumner, they're all secrets that we know about. I'm smoking a Juul.
I'm David Duchovny, and I used to play Fox Mulder, and I'm a little douche nozzle. Uh, Failed actor, David Duchovny, declassified info.
Fucking toolbox. If he was any good after the X-Files, he would have had a great career. How do you not have a great career after your fucking Fox Mulder on the X-Files? The greatest TV show ever. And then where'd he go? Fuck, there's more fucking Bigfoot sightings than David Duchovny sightings. Fuck. Me and my friend were Pokemon hunting. Yeah, these fucking guys have a fucking life, don't they? Anyway, me and my friends. I'm sorry. Me and my friend. I can't say it with a straight face, man. All I picture is two fucking neckbeards. Hey. Me and my friends. Okay, here we go. Me and my friends were Pokemon hunting at 1 a.m. and we saw this thing run along the road in front of us. It was far away, but it looked massive, bigger than a car. It was extremely fast and was lanky, but had a stocky body. Kind of like it was thick, but you could see its ribs almost. But again, it was far away, so I can't tell. It was on all fours as well. It didn't have a defined neck, and it's like its head was connected to its shoulders. Its body was hunched, but its head was held up. It was super pale and pasty and just grotesque looking. This fucking anorexic Charizard, you fucking neckbeard. Look what I got. I got the Charizard. Fucking Pokemon hunting at 1 a.m. Holy fuck. I'm sorry. You know it. You know it, Shackleneck. Dude, fucking neckbeards are great. I love neckbeards. This happened in Wyoming, and I am unsure of which year. Early to mid 2010s, I would say. I still don't know really what I experienced, but I am sure it was not a dream or a hallucination, as I've been told. I was 5 or 7 at the time and had my own room with a closet that led to the attic and a door to the hallway next to it. My bed was positioned so the closet and the door were to the left of it. I remember I woke up and weirdly wanted to go to the kitchen for a glass of water. I'd never wanted to do that in the middle of the night, or my parents' knowledge. I began to get up repeatedly, go to bed, stay in bed, don't get up. Then it stopped. At this point, I was buried under my covers with my eyes peeked. Did I fucking miss something? Oh, I did. I missed something. Let me start all over. I'm still laughing at that Pokemon thing in my head. This happened in Wyoming, and I am unsure of which year. Early to mid 2010s, I would say. I still don't know what I really experienced, but I am sure it was not a dream or a hallucination. As I've been told. I was 5 or 7 at the time, and I had my own room with a closet that led to the attic and a door to the hallway next to it. My bed was positioned so the closet and door were to the left of it. I remember I woke up and weirdly wanted to go to the kitchen to get a glass of water. I had never wanted to do that in the middle of the night, to my or my parents' knowledge. I began to get up off my bed when a voice strongly told me to go back to bed. I felt terrified and it kept repeating, go back to bed and stay in bed. Don't get up. Then it stopped. At this point, I'm buried under the covers with my eyes peeking over them into the hallway. For some reason, I felt I needed to look out into the hallway. And when I did, I saw a tall, dark, and unnaturally skinny figure walk past my room. I heard thuds of footsteps, almost like boots, as it moved, but it didn't look to be walking. The hallway was not illuminated much, but I left my closet light on because I was scared of the dark. And that light lit up a small portion of the hallway outside of my door. I felt a deep fear of whatever walked past my door, and don't know what told me to stay put, but I think it was protecting me. The voice was powerful, deep, and sounded like a man. In that same house, we had a playroom in the basement opposite the downstairs living room and bar. In the middle of the two was a laundry room, off topic, but the laundry room always made me feel eerie and uncomfortable, even just looking at it. This happened when I was a bit older, maybe 9. I walked down the stairs and glanced off into the playroom. The light was off. I turned to the right to talk with my dad, who was watching TV in the living room. And then I went back up the stairs. I looked at the playroom again and the light was on. It freaked me out. And I ran back to my dad, who thought I was messing around. No clue of what any of this means or having offhand paranormal things occur. Well, I am always paranoid now. If anybody could explain these things, I'd really appreciate it. Well, I think it was your guardian angel, or, I mean, you hear this thing, you got to get up. You never got out of your bed when you were a kid, right? You didn't get up, but now you want to. And then you hear this voice say, stay in bed, don't get out of bed, stay put. You stay put. 2 seconds later, this figure walks by your room. Maybe your guardian angel, that's what I would say. Nicola, what's up, buddy? The Jigglypuff. Hey, Linda, how are you? Thank you. I don't know. To me, it just sounds like something, I don't know, something obviously told him to stay put for a reason. That's just my own opinion. What's up, Mammy? No way. Pokemon are awesome, Saint 13. We fucking love Pokemon here. The obese. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. What is this? This is a spring edition Red Bull. Spring edition Red Bull. Ready for mushroom season. Truffles? Truffles, Mammy? Boone's Farm Energy Drink. Morals. The mascot is probably sleeping in my bed right now. I'm still getting used to my implants. Every once in a while when I talk, I fucking drool or spit. You guys didn't notice I just got the stash. I got the old fucking porn stash going on. Dirk Diggler from Boogie Nights. This right on the trucker that shot the dog man. Nasty. Yeah. Yep. I talk to his wife periodically. He's been on every channel. That's why I haven't had him on mine. Because I mean, he's been on every channel. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm not going to do an overkill. Everybody's heard it. So that's just my nice guy. Nice guy. His wife's a great person too. I just don't, I mean, what's the sense of him coming on here when everybody's heard it, This is my point of view. I'm a little bit of both rocking, all of them rocking steady. Just a little bit of all of them. The YMCA. All right. All right, this is weird. This one's weird. This happened last week, 2025, in California. Last week, I had a horrific experience. It was in the middle of the night, and I woke up to footsteps in my apartment. I immediately got up and walked around. Didn't see anybody. Realized that my front door was stupidly unlocked, so of course I locked it. Do another check around the apartment and go back to sleep. Several hours later, I wake up to the same noise, but this time I stay still and listen. The noise stops, but my bedroom door opens ever so slightly, and I see a black outline of a person. At this point, I am petrified. I do move or make a little noise. I don't move or make a little noise. I just wait. Finally, the figure just says 0 in a human voice. Sounded like another man. I jumped out of bed and turned all the lights on to look around. Nothing. Double check the locks, and this time lock my bedroom door. I sit in my bed for a while, waiting for something to happen before dozing off. In the morning, I'm still pretty freaked out, but I go to take a shower. When I turn the water on, the water is hitting the ceiling. The shower head had been turned completely upside down. And I realized the only place I didn't check was behind the shower curtain. And I really don't think that I would have done that. Like, why would I turn the shower head 180 degrees around? It wouldn't make any sense. Anyway, I go about my day and try not to think too much about it. Flash forward to the next day. I get in my car in the morning to go to class, and my rearview mirror has also been turned around. After that, I am just so confused and spooked. I wonder if I was sleepwalking and turned things upside down, but I had never been a sleepwalker in my 22 years. And apparently it's very rare for sleepwalking to randomly start in your 20s. Almost unheard of. That's fucked up. Can you imagine? Like, that's like a ghost with a sense of humor. Like, I'm just gonna fuck with you and fuck with your shit. This one's a doozy and still bothers me to this day. I was in high school at the time, and it was around 1 a.m. on a Saturday. Myself and my best bud were just hanging out playing some League at the crib when we got a call that our friend got too drunk at a party and needed to get picked up. Whatever, we're sober as penguins, and he's gotten us before, so we set out. We pick him up and throw him in the back seat and begin the journey home. We live kind of out in the country, so it's a bit foggy and there's no other cars on the road. When all of a sudden, as we come around this turn, we see this animal thing, a ball of reddish brown fur just hunched over in a ditch on the side of the road. I thought it was maybe an injured bear or a big ass wolf, so I slow down to creep and blast it with the high beams. This motherfucker proceeds to turn its head and look right at us. Beady red eyes, pointed ears, and a snout like a wolf. I cannot look away from this thing as our drunken friend is rolling around in the back, completely unaware. This thing then stands up on its hind legs, turns to face us. Looks like a dead-ass werewolf vampire mix. Fangs poking out of its mouth. long pointed ears, covered in long reddish brown fur that's thinner on its chest and midsection. It's taller than the street sign next to it, and it is standing in a ditch, easily 8 to 9 feet in height. It is lanky as hell, but can still can see some muscle definition. It's just staring at us. I glance over at my buddy in the passenger seat, and he's sunken way down, shaking, saying, "Drive, drive, drive, dude, please drive. Jake, please drive." I turn my head back to decide if I'm gonna have to run this thing over. This thing gets down on all fours and bounds across the field next to it at breakneck pace. And I just sit stunned, snap out of it, and drive home, questioning if I should go back and look to find it once more. Bigfoot people spend their whole lives looking for Bigfoot. I just saw this randomly. Nobody believes me when I tell them the experience, but I can still call my buddy and say, "Dude, do you remember that night?" And he immediately says, "The night of the werewolf?" "Yeah, I remember." That's not cool. That reminds me of Jeff Deere, who, I don't know, if you guys have been, the people that have been with the channel for a long time, Janie will remember him. I'm not sure who else, but Jeff was a subscriber of mine, and he died 3 years ago now. He sent me a birthday present and then passed away like a month later. But he had two experiences. One was he was a teenager, and they had this party spot that they used to party at. And him and his buds were like, "Hey, let's scare the girls tonight." And so they got their camps or their party spot set up, started the fire. The guys went to pick up the girls, and Jeff waited in the woods, and he had this like scary mask on, and he had put the mask on and was waiting for his friends to come to the party. And as they were all showing up, they had been partying for like a minute or two. Jeff kind of backs up because he's going to go scare everybody now. And so he's like standing there, and he backs up and he hits something. And he's like, "I'm not standing behind a tree." He turns around, and standing in front of him is this massive creature. And he kind of looks up. And as he looks up, he takes his mask off, like he's like peeling his face off. Staring back at him is a fucking Bigfoot. In its face, as he's peeling the mask off, like he's peeling his face off, he said the Bigfoot's face was like absolute terror. Like, holy shit, this human's peeling its face off. And they both took off running in the opposite direction. His next experience was he was delivering pizzas, and he had come to the end of this road, and it was a T. So he could go right or left, and in front of him was this huge field. And as he's coming to this field, in the ditch, right before the field would go up, is this mound of fur. And as he stops at the stop sign, he's looking like, "What the hell? They don't have bear where I live." And he's like, "What the hell is that?" And out stands a Dogman, and it stands, looks at him, drops down on all fours, and just gone into the field. It was crazy. What's up, Sonny? How are you? I'm glad that you're here with us. Ron, the pipe fitter, how are you? That's crazy, Danny Sanders. Speaking of that, you taught me about scam. Thank you, Mark Whalen. Speaking of that, this book right here, phantom messages. I wrote this down because I wanted to share this with Jimmy Patanito, who, once again, if you hadn't been here earlier in the night, I talked about him. He goes by the name Mr. Haunted on YouTube. He is the Jimmy on all the Conjuring houses. He was the film guy for the Warrens, and worked with them for years. But I wrote this name down, Charles E. Peck, right? And in 2008, there was this horrific train crash. I'm just sharing quickly the story because I just wanted him to look into it. So in 2008, there was this horrific train crash, right? And his girlfriend doesn't know. Like, people are searching for bodies and everything. And she sees on the news that the train had crashed, and she keeps getting a call from Charles. And she gets like 35 calls. She does, his mom, his friends, they all, like 35 calls total, right? And at one point, the phone doesn't hang up. It stays like open. All of a sudden, his body is finally found. They ping him because of the phone, right? Come to find out, he died instantly in that crash. There was no way of him making that call, and his phone was never recovered. Yet his phone pinged right there where his body was found, but it was never, ever found. Just a weird, creepy story. What's up, Danny? How are you, buddy? But can you imagine 35? And that's what this book is about. Chilling phone calls, letters, emails, and texts from unknown realms. Very interesting book. And I'm not selling my friend's book. I like to share things every once in a while. I'm fucking weird. All right. I think it's time for another lot lizard story, isn't it? Yeah, it is rocking steady. Fuck yeah, that's good shit, bro. All right. Another lot lizard story time it is. Here we go. Earl squinted at the flickering neon sign of the Cosmic Crossroad truck stop, a beacon of greasy food and questionable fuel in the middle of nowhere, Nevada. He was bone tired, his rig smelling faintly of stale coffee and broken dreams. All he wanted was a burger and a few hours of shut-eye before hauling a load of rubber chickens to Albuquerque. As he lumbered inside, the aroma of deep-fried everything assaulted his nostrils. The place was a symphony of questionable fashion choices, trucker hats, and the low hum of chatter. He ordered his burger, extra greasy, and settled into his booth, observing the usual suspects. And that's when he saw her, Lizzo. Lizzo was a legend, a myth whispered in CB radios across the country. A notorious lot lizard. She was famed less for her services and more for her sheer size and intimidating presence. They said she could bench press a Buick and once scared off a band of bikers with a single glare. Tonight, she was draped across the booth like a sequenced python, her laughter booming like a foghorn. Earl usually steered clear of her. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, this time accompanied by a high-pitched whine that set Earl's teeth on edge. Outside, a blinding light bathed the truck stop in an eerie glow. People screamed. Earl choked on his burger. "What in blue blazes?" he muttered, peering out the window. A spaceship, shaped like a chrome butternut squash, hovered above the parking lot. 3 figures, tall and spindly, with gray skin and bulbous heads, emerged from a ramp. Their eyes, large and black, scanned the crowd with unsettling intensity. Panic erupted. Truckers scrambled for cover, spilling coffee and knocking over tables. Earl, usually a man of action, found himself rooted to the spot, his arteries clogged with fear and grease. Then one of the aliens pointed a long skeletal figure directly at Earl. It spoke, its voice a synthesized drone. Subject designated. Initial examination. Initial practical examination. Proctological examination. Earl's blood ran cold. He'd rather wrestle with a grizzly bear than submit to an alien probe. He tried to make a run for it, but his legs felt like lead. That's when Lizzo moved. With a guttural roar that shook the very foundations of the truck stop, Lizzo launched herself from her booth. Sequences flew, tables splintered, and the air crackled with an energy unlike anything Earl had ever witnessed. "Get away from him, you space creeps!" she bellowed, her voice echoing across the parking lot. The aliens, clearly taken aback by this sudden display of terrestrial fury, paused. Lizzo seized the opportunity. She grabbed a nearby ketchup dispenser, the industrial-sized one, and hurled it at the lead alien with a force. The ketchup bottle exploded, connecting with a satisfying splat, coating the alien with viscous, tomatoey mess. It shrieked, a sound like a dial-up modem gargling with battery acid. Lizzo didn't stop there. She grabbed a handful of greasy onion rings and started pelting the aliens, yelling, "How you like those earth apples, you galactic geeks?" The aliens, clearly not prepared for such an onslaught of proceeds goodness, recoiled. One slipped on a rogue puddle of nacho cheese and went down hard. The other two, splattered with ketchup and onion rings, seemed to be reconsidering their mission. "Retreat, retreat," one of them screeched, its synchronized voice laced with panic. They scrambled back into their chrome butternut squash and blasted off, leaving behind a parking lot littered with ketchup, onion rings, and bewildered truckers. Silence descended on the cosmic crossroad. Earl, his jaw slack, stared at Lizzo. She stood there, breathing heavily, sequences askew, a ketchup-stained warrior. "Well," she laughed, casually wiping her hands on her sequenced dress. "That was a close one. You all right, sugar?" Earl, still trying to process what happened, could only nod dumbly. "Thanks, Lizzo," he finally managed to stammer. You saved me." Lizzo shrugged. "Just doing my civic duties besides," she added with a wink. "Nobody messes with my regulars." From that day on, Earl never looked at Lizzo the same way. She wasn't just a legend, she was a hero. He bought her the biggest plate of chili cheese fries the cosmic crossroads had to offer, and they sat together sharing stories and watching the stars, in case those pesky aliens decided to come back for a second helping of Earl's rectum. He even started carrying a spare industrial-sized ketchup dispenser in his cab just in case. After all, you never knew when you might need to defend yourself against a rectal exam. And with Lizzo around, Earl knew he was in good hands, or at least well defended. Azilla, what's up? How are you? What's up, Nicholas Carroll? How are you, buddy? Earl always needs to run. 59th, I think I might have an Australia experience. I think I do. I thought of all my Australian friends tonight on this one. I thought I did. Was it? All right. I'll find it. I'll find it as we go. In 2007, I briefly separated from my husband. He had serious drug issues, and I got tired of the stress and lying. A friend of mine was moving to Wisconsin. He offered to help me get out of Florida. I had 3 teenage kids who were also ready to start a new life, so I took him up on his offer. I had a small car and signed it over to my husband because I couldn't get it to Green Bay. We left in mid-August and arrived in Green Bay 17 hours later. My friend had rented a home for us and we settled in. It was a perfect neighborhood. We couldn't be happier. One day in September, my kids went to the park that was at the end of the street. I was home alone, just enjoying the new life. I had the front door open and the storm door closed and locked. Then there was a knock at the door. As I turned from the kitchen, Arabic, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. As I turned from the kitchen and took a step toward the door, the strongest feeling of doom overcame me. I was filled with terror. I stopped for a moment in my tracks. Another knock came from the door, and I found myself suddenly standing in front of it. Standing on the top step were 2 boys, maybe 12 to 13. The terror inside of me was so strong I wanted to vomit. I was shaking when I began to speak, but one of the boys spoke first. Please, miss, can you let us in? We need to use your phone. The fear was palpable, and I answered, don't you guys have a phone? They both turned to each other, not saying a word. Then the boy spoke, changing the question. Please, miss, my brother needs to use your bathroom. We won't hurt you. We won't hurt you. You don't have to worry. Please give us permission to come in. I said, no, I don't think so. There's a gas station on the next corner. The boy's head tilted upward, and his eyes were just 2 dark pools, soulless. The other boy also looked at me. Miss, we need to come in now. Let us in. I said no and slammed the door shut and locked the knob, the chain, and the deadbolt. I was shaking like I was in a very cold room. I looked out the peephole, and they were both looking at the door. The one boy kept saying, please let us in. We're cold. How can you be cold? It's 80 degrees outside, I yelled through the door. Go away or I'm calling the cops. I looked out and they stood there and only stepped off the stairs when my boys came walking up the sidewalk. I watched as the boys got to the end of the walkway and turned in the opposite direction of where my boys were coming from. They ran up to the door and were surprised to find it locked. I carefully unlocked it and hurried them in and then locked it behind them. They asked me who were those kids, and I told them just kids selling candy for their school. After that day, I tried to stay aware of what was around me. All I know is that what I experienced was something straight out of a movie. It traumatized me, and I sleep with the lights on now. I didn't tell my kids until my youngest, a girl, had graduated from high school. My oldest son said that the moment they had stepped onto the sidewalk where our house was, he felt a weird feeling in the pit of his stomach. He also admitted that he had seen both of them down on the walking trail, but never since. Every time I think of it, I get sick. Can you imagine that? Let us in. Let us in now. Um, 59th. I actually have a news article about the Choctaw Nation with that on the Wild Men. Fuck, they're telling you to usually they try to trick you, you know? These guys are like, let us in, bitch. We won't hurt you. We just want to do a rectal exam like on Earl. That's so not cool. I hate black-eyed. Black-eyed kids, crawlers, or feral humans. Which is scarier? What's up, Simone? How are you, dear? Feral humans. Yup. Crawlers. Black-eyed kids. Crawlers. Crawlers are scary as fuck. All right, so what if a feral human and a black-eyed feral human and black-eyed woman produced a black-eyed crawler? Huh? You'd get a feral black-eyed crawler. You'd get Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas. SDL. Target practice. Eunice, how are you, dear? No. There's been crawler sightings that their eyes aren't black. I don't know. That's a good question, Kara. But feral humans don't. Feral humans are more or less like human, like more so like Neanderthal. Like Neanderthal. Mr. Bungle, not Bangle, Clint. God damn it. Yeah. Hang on, I gotta adjust my nuts. Ugh. All right, nuts are adjusted. No, I'd say crawlers. I'm not really sure where crawlers live. As long as they don't live in my butthole. All right, here. Where is it? Where is it? Is this it? All right, here it is. Is this it? Yes. Ermic, I thought of you when I found this one. All right. I thought of you when I found this one. So here you go. I'm from Laredo, Texas. I know it's Laredo. I like saying Laredo. I had a sighting that remained fresh in my mind for more than 20 years. I was 17 years old at the time and had just joined a band as lead singer and rhythm guitarist. We were practicing outside when we all automatically stopped playing and gazed in disbelief as a creature floated or slowly glided about 20 feet from the ground and about 20 feet away from us. It can only be described as a baby with small head and red eyes. It had no feathers, just skin under the wings. It turned and looked at us as it slowly glided by. Aside from me, there were 3 other witnesses, one of which passed away a few years later. I've looked everywhere for years trying to identify this flying baby, but had never heard or seen anything else around. The closest I have found to the phenomena was the Mothman. I think this creature was a young Mothman of some sorts. At the time, there was a lot of attention being brought by the baby Bat Boy, but I really never believed that magazine. Thinking about it now, maybe it was rooted in that thing that we saw. I always fucking knew Bat Boy was real. Always. I always knew Bat Boy was real. Fucking Bat Boy. Bat Boy. Yes, there's Bat Boy. I don't know if you guys can see Bat Boy. Fucking Bat Boy. Ha Oh, Bat Boy, you sexy little motherfucker, you. Dude, they have a cutout Bat Boy face. Fuck yeah, for Halloween. I'm being Bat Boy next week. Or yeah. Ooh. Bat Boy. Thank you, MR. Half human, half bat in a locked up medical lab. Dude, I bet you Bat Boy was real. Bat child found in cave. My dad used to love that shit. Bat Boy. What's up, Orphan? Orion, how are you? All right, here we go. To set things up, me, a 19-year-old female, and my boyfriend, 26-year-old male, both have extensive experience in the woods. I hiked across PCT from Ashland to the Bridge of the Gods at the border of Washington, and it took 6 weeks. I've always enjoyed the outdoors, and I've never felt unsafe, even getting close to wildlife such as bears. My boyfriend grew up in a rural area surrounded by farmland, so he is also comfortable with the outdoors. We decided to go camping at Rim Rock Lake, which is about 45 minutes from Yakima, Washington. And this region of Washington has the abundance of Native American land, history, and Native American people, of course. Not sure if it's relevant, but I thought I'd add it. We ended up getting to the lake at around 10:45 p.m. As we pulled into the entrance, I immediately got a bad feeling. I have only felt something like this a handful of times my entire life. I tell my boyfriend, basically, this place is giving me a bad vibe, man. And he says, I'm just scared of the dark, utterly dismissing my feelings. As we round the curve, I am struck with the reality that I've had a dream about this place. His car, a Crown Vic, the specific shape of the road, the light from his headlights. It wasn't deja vu. It was straight out of my dream I had when I was 12 years old. I tell my boyfriend I've dreamt about this place, dreamt about this place, everything about it. I go into more detail than that, but you get the idea. In my dream, there is a pale, creepy face with reflective eyes staring at me through the trees. And I just remember running as fast as I can down the road. Again, he considers what I'm saying, but ultimately disregards it. We pull up to the campsite and set up pretty fast, maybe 15 minutes, and we've got our tent up, a fire going. And my boyfriend has a cigar lit since he is terribly addicted to those nasty things. As we sit around the campfire, he's puffing away, and suddenly we hear this wildly loud screaming. It sounded like a group of college kids screaming their drunk asses off, but it didn't sound quite right, if that makes sense. It sounded like a man and a woman screaming in perfect unison, the high and low screams melding together. I instantly tried to rationalize the strange sound. It was maybe a mile away, just over the hill, possibly. Moments later, we hear it again, but on the opposite direction, and it's closer, now half a mile away. I swear to God, it sounded more disturbing. Realizing that sound is not human at all. I don't know if it was more distorted and alien or if the proximity allowed me to hear it better. We begin to quietly discuss how that sound was not normal. Neither of us, in all of our years of hiking and traveling, had ever heard something remotely like this. Moments later, the sound is not further than a football field away. My boyfriend puts his cigar down, grabs his gun, and we agree to ignore it and no longer speak of it for the rest of the night. We hop inside of a tent and wake up to a gorgeous sunny day. His cigar was missing the next morning. We talked about it a bit that day, and it still freaks us out about thinking about it. I believe that when it sounded far away, it was actually very close. These creatures have a ability to sound far away when really they are not far at all. I heard from some people that the further that they sound, the closer they are. Thoughts, feelings, opinions. This story is 100%. Well, you go to a place called fucking Rim Rock and something. Mr. Haunted! What's up, brother? I talked about you twice tonight. I want you to check this out. I thought about you today. There's a case that goes with this book, okay? The Phantom Messages. Look into it for me and tell me what you think. Charles E. Peck, 2008. Check into it, please. How about I give you a call tomorrow? Does that work, Haunted? To be honest, MR, I do not know how to renew memberships. I honestly don't know. All right, I'll give you a holler tomorrow. I'll text you before. But yeah, I want you to look into that because I immediately heard the case today. I know 96K, huh, buddy? We are going to hit 100K this year. 100K.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Cannot wait. I honestly cannot wait until we hit 100K. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have like something really special. What's meaner than a pit bull with the guy who gave it to him? Holy shit, dude. Yeah, we'll have to do something awesome. Aramic's got all the good jokes. Maybe a meetup. Maybe. Voorhees. Well, thank you, Voorhees. I appreciate you being here. And stay safe, brother. Please. The anniversary was March 24th, 8 years. Good night, Christopher. I know, I couldn't believe it. 8 years. Ironically enough, it's my dad's birthday, too. Thank you, Aramek. I love you too, brother. Me and you got to hang out sometime, get some coffee, and chill. I don't believe in anything paranormal, but I can't think of any rational way to explain what I saw. This happened mid November, but I still think about it a lot. I live on the coast of Lake Michigan, where it's common for sea glass to wash up on the beach. It's been a hobby of mine to collect it since I was a little kid, and my mom and I would collect it on the beach near our house. I prefer to go in late fall or early spring when nobody else is there and pick up the good pieces and the wind isn't cold yet. There's a park near where I live now that is especially good for sea glassing. It's tucked in between two private properties, so not a lot of people know about it. And in mid November, the beach is completely empty. There's a paved trail that leads from the parking lot down through the ravine to the beach house, but on this day, I felt like exploring a bit. I walked along the top of the bluff until I found a small unmarked trail, and I decided to follow it. It led down to the beach, but I could not find a good access point and didn't involve climbing down. So I kept walking. Eventually, it led to a dead end. I turned around to walk back. And as I did, I heard something thump loudly on the ground like it had fallen out of the tree. Aramek, thank you, brother. Suddenly, I heard the sound of something charging through the brush straight toward me. It sounded large, like a bear, but there are not any bear in this area. I instinctually made myself look bigger and shouted, "Hey," in a deep voice. Whatever it was stopped 20 feet away from me. I stood there staring at the spot for 30 seconds before cautiously continuing back up the trail. I went back to one of the clearings and climbed down to the beach. The whole time I was walking, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. The beach was empty, though, so I figured I was still just shaken up from whatever just happened. I also kept hearing a second set of footsteps in the gravel behind me, matching my pace exactly. But since nobody else was on the beach, I figured it was just my echo. Then I got to the beach house. I had to pee, so I went behind it to see if the bathroom was open. As I turned the corner, I saw something peeking around the far side of the building at me. It had a human like body, but it was 7 feet in height. It had strange looking ears. It also had skin so pale, pale white, it seemed to be translucent. I could see the blue of its blood vessels. It also had no discernible facial features. It had a bone structure of its face, no eyes or mouth or anything. I immediately started sprinting up the main trail. I am very out of shape, but I ran the whole way up that bluff. I thought I was going to pass out when I got to my car, but I didn't take a second chance to catch my breath before driving. I drove to a nearby restaurant, and while I was there, I texted my friend about it. He told me I was just upset about some other things going on in my life and I was seeing things. I felt very real to me, but I accepted that. I was feeling very emotional that day, and maybe my brain was just playing tricks on me because of it. But months later, I still can't get it out of my head. It felt so real. If it was real, it had to have been a cryptid. So thank you for letting me share. Yeah, definitely a cryptid. Fucking crawler. You got a crawler, bruh. Got a crawler. Aramic, thank you again for all of your support. I really appreciate you. I come from the land down under. You said I come from the land down under. Good night, Clint. Ugh. All right. Well, thank you, Robin. I know you'd like that, Simone. I was actually talking about you to my dad the other day. I was like, I got to send Simone some money to send me some Vegemite. My dad goes, what the fuck is Vegemite? I'm like, you got to eat the Vegemite, Dad. It's good for you. It'll put hair on your chest. In December of 2012, I was living in a halfway house on the west side of Shreveport, Louisiana. It was a 5-bedroom house, and I had several roommates. One night, one of my roommates came in from outside, visibly shaken, and confided in me that there was something out in the woods that was not human. I asked him what he meant, and he said he had been outside smoking a cigarette and using his phone, which was brand new, by the way, the latest Samsung Galaxy at the time, bought earlier that same day, when his phone had randomly popped up a strange text prediction style string of words and characters right before his phone powered itself off. He said he had read something along the lines of, I am very different, beautiful creature from, followed by a string of characters he couldn't make sense of. He said it was then that he saw something strange in the woods, got scared, and came inside. To be honest, I thought it was a prank and didn't even go outside that night to look. I just said something like, okay, good. You made it inside. You're safe. Get some sleep. We've got work in the morning. And we did. The next morning, he complained that his phone wouldn't turn on anymore and that he'd have to go by the store to get it replaced. The following weekend, I was in my bedroom at night when I observed out the window what I first thought was 2 or 3 people with flashlights in the woods behind the house. I went through the living room and asked the 5 or so roommates watching TV if any of them were expecting company because someone was coming up the path. We weren't allowed company, so we would have our visitors park at the next place over and walk the path, which was prominent even at night, and going through about 40 yards of pine thicket. Everyone said they weren't, so I went out to investigate. When I got outside, I was able to see more lights in the woods way off the path and realized that even though these lights were moving as if it were walking back and forth, I did not hear a sound. I observed the lights from a distance at first and gradually moved closer. The way they were moving reminded me of people looking for something they dropped in the woods, except the number of them in their individual locations were changing almost constantly. I saw everywhere between 1 and about 9 of them repeatedly and without. The form of them was extremely humanoid in shape. Each was probably 6 to 7 feet in height and seemed to be made of rays of light. They reminded me of streaks of light. MR, thank you so much. Streaks of light people normally see when they look toward the light at night. I observed them for 30 minutes and made several attempts to walk out and investigate closer. But each time when I'd get to the edge of the yard where the woods were, they would move toward me, and I experienced feelings of fear and panic. that made me retreat back to the yard and near the house. After a while, they seemed to stop reappearing after their individual disappearances until they were gone. Later, my roommate told me that what I had seen were that strange location he had seen it a week before, which had somehow interacted with his phone and caused it to break. All right. Are you guys ready for the doozy of the night? MR, good night. Thank you for hanging out with us. This is the last lot lizard story of the night. Actually, this is the last story of the night because I'm getting tired. You guys ready? Earl, Big Rig Higgins, a man whose beard was as thick as a shag carpet and whose belly straightened against his I Heart Truck Stop t-shirt, had a weakness. It wasn't diesel or double cheeseburgers, though he enjoyed those too. No, Earl's weakness was Flo, the waitress at the dusty neon lit Eat Right truck stop just outside of Nowhere, Oklahoma. Flo, with her sunshine yellow hair, threatening to escape her hairnet, and a smile that could melt asphalt, was the only reason Earl ever bothered stopping at the Eat Right. He had been driving the I-40 for 15 years, seen a lot of sights, and sampled a lot of questionable food. But Flo's bottomless coffee and sweet potato pie were unmatched. And lately he had been noticing how her smile lingered a little longer when she served him. The way her fingers brushed his calloused hand when she handed him the check. Earl was falling hard and fast like a runaway 18-wheeler down a mountain pass. But Earl wasn't the only one circling Flo. Lurking in the shadows of the parking lot, a viper, coiled and ready to strike, was Trixie. Trixie wasn't your average lot lizard prostitute. She was different. She was demonic and had her eyes set on Earl. Trixie had arrived at the Eat Right a few weeks prior, a whirlwind of cheap perfume, ripped fishnets, and an unnervingly intense gaze. Most truckers steered clear, sensing something off, but Trixie was persistent. She'd slither around the rigs, offering services with a voice that sounded like nails scraping on a chalkboard, her eyes burning with a natural hunger. And she seen the way Earl looked at Flo, the possessive glint in her crimson eyes promised a vengeance hotter than the truck stop toilet seat in July. Trixie was jealous, deeply, demonically jealous. She wanted Earl's eyes on her, his attention, his soul, and she wouldn't let some small-town waitress stand in her way. One particular stormy Tuesday night, Earl was nursing his third cup of coffee, watching Flo bustle around, humming along to the crackling country music of the radio. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, and Trixie looked practically wretched with her green skin reflecting the neon lights, sashayed into the diner. She slid up to Earl, her voice low, guttural growl. "Hey, Big Rig, feeling lonely?" Earl started nearly choking on his coffee. No thanks, just enjoying Flo's hospitality." He gestured towards Flo, who gave him a warm smile. Trixie's eyes narrowed, burning hotter than ever. "Hospitality, huh? She's just after your money, trucker. I can offer you things you can't imagine." She leaned closer, her breath smelling faintly of sulfur and desperation. Earl, feeling a chill run down his spine despite the diner's warmth, politely declined. "I appreciate the offer, ma'am, but I'm not interested." Trixie's face contorted into a mask of pure fury. "You'll regret this, Earl Higgins. You'll regret choosing her," she hissed, spitting a wad of green phlegm on the floor. Flo, hearing the commotion, rushed over. Is everything okay, Earl? Just peachy, Flo, Earl said, forcing a smile. This lady's just leaving. Trixie glared at Flo, her eyes flashing red. This isn't over, she snarled before storming back into the night, leaving a faint trail of brimstone in her wake. The next few days were uneventful, but Earl couldn't shake the feeling of unease. He'd heard rumors about demonic lot lizards, whispered in hushed tones by grizzled truckers over late-night coffee. He tried to dismiss it as a truck stop folklore, but Trixie's gaze haunted his dreams. Then, on a Friday night, things took a turn for the truly bizarre. Earl arrived at the Eat Right to find the place eerily empty. No truckers, no cooks, just Flo, looking terrified. Earl, thank goodness you're here, she exclaimed, her voice trembling. Trixie, she's done something to everybody. Earl's heart pounded out of his chest. What do you mean? Flo explained that Trixie had been whispering strange incantations, muttering about lost souls and eternal damnation. Apparently, she had used her unique gifts to put a spell on everyone, turning them into a zombified trucker, driven by an insatiable hunger for sweet tater pie. Earl stared at her, dumbfounded. Zombified truckers eating sweet pie. I told you it was bad, Flo cried. They're out there, Earl shambled around, moaning for pie. Just then, a low groan echoed outside. The figure stumbled into the diner, its eyes glazed over, its greasy uniform stained with sweet potato filling. It was Big Joe, a regular. Pie, he moaned, reaching for Flo. Earl sprang into action, grabbing a cast iron skillet from behind the counter, the same one Flo used to make her legendary cornbread. Back, you pie-crazed fiend, he yelled, swinging the skillet like a baseball bat. He whacked Big Joe over the head, and the zombified trucker collapsed in a heap, a spoonful of sweet tater pie filling dribbling from his back jaw. You got to get out of here, Flo, Earl yelled. It's going to get worse. Armed with the skillet and a can of industrial-strength bug spray, courtesy of Eat Right, Earl and Flo fought their way through the zombified trucker horde. A terrifying and absurd battle of skillet swinging and bug spray blasting. Finally, they cornered Trixie in the parking lot. You can't win, Trixie, Earl roared, brandishing the skillet. This ain't your territory. You're messing with a man and his woman sweet tater pie. Trixie cackled, her laughter echoing through the stormy night. You think you can stop me, trucker? I have the power of hell itself at my command. But Trixie underestimated Earl's love for Flo and her sweet tater pie. With a primal yell, Earl charged, swinging that skillet with all his might. He connected with Trixie's head, sending her sprawling. As she lay dazed, Flo grabbed a bottle of hot sauce from her apron pocket, a special blend she made herself. She poured the entire bottle into Trixie's open mouth. The demonic lot lizard screamed a sound that could curdle milk. Apparently, demons hated hot sauce. A bright light enveloped her, and with a final ear-splitting screech, Trixie vanished, leaving behind a faint smell of sulfur and regret. The spell was broken. The zombified truckers returned to normal, albeit with a strong craving for antacids. Earl and Flo, covered in sweet tater pie, hot sauce, stood together victorious. Well, Earl said, wiping his brow, that was something. Flo smiled with her eyes shining. Yeah, I guess it was. She leaned in and kissed him, a sweet, spicy kiss that tasted like victory. Earl knew in that moment that he had not only saved Flo from the demonic lot lizard, but he had also found something truly special at the Eat Right truck stop, something worth fighting for, even against the forces of hell. And maybe, just maybe, he'd finally get that second slice of sweet tater pie he deserved. All right. 2.5 hour live stream. I'm getting fucking pooped. Yes, thank you, Erica. Arabic, thank you. Saint, Gregors, have a good night. Troy, Kimberly, SDL. Janie, love you. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for hanging out with me. Pups, if you're still here, love you. Thank you. Sonia, have a good night, dear. Hey, did anybody see Liz Sisney in here tonight? I didn't see Lizzie tonight. Good night, Jess B. Widmore. What's up, Jody Bateman? Mora. Shackleneck, have a good week yourself, buddy. Delirium, you have a good week. Ooh. Ew. I got a little something in that one. No, I'm just kidding. That was fucking gross, huh? Rocky Michaels, thank you. Terry Marshall, have a good night. Thank you, brother. Neck, I love you, big guy. Aramic, send me an email this week. I want to talk to you, please. Mr. Haunted, if you're still here, I'll call you tomorrow. Randall Kennedy, thank you for everything. I do too. I got your number written down in my little book of love. Book of love. Sometime this week. How about that, Bateman? Penny Aller, thank you for joining us tonight. DB Mac! All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love you all. I had a great time. Sorry I'm a little tired tonight. I could barely keep my eyes open. I was like, nah. But, all right. See you next week. And stay well, stay warm. Don't let your meatloaf. And try not to find Lizzo the lot lizard, because she'd be doing a little licking. Licky, licky. Thank you, SDL. All right, guys, have a good night. Thank you for everything. Sully, have a good night.